Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are going to take a look at the brand new campaign ship, the Pyotr Bagration. I don't know. Bagration? I don't know how you pronounce it, but we're going to call it the Peter Bag, okay? Because that's what this thing is. It's just a giant bag of Peter. It is just absolutely not a whole lot of fun. If you do not like Russian cruisers, you're not going to like this ship. And if you do like Russian cruisers, you're probably also not going to like this ship. Why? I'll explain. So, let's look at our commander. We're running Nikolai Kuznetsov, Nikolai von Essen, and Philip Vian as our commander inspirations. We're running Reaching Out, we're running Igniter, we're running Punch Through, we're running Fixated, and we're running Fully Packed. Alright, let's look at the equipment. We are running Aiming Systems Mod 1. We are running Propulsion Mod 2, Steering Gears Mod 3, and we are running Main Battery Mod 3. Now, let's look at our loadout. We have Community Contributor Flag and the camo that comes on the ship. You can swap your sonar for defensive AA fire, but I don't know why you would do that. Stats. 42,000 hit points, 16% chance of setting fires. Let's just start over on the stats. 42,000 hit points, 16% damage reduction on torpedoes. Artillery, 180 millimeter, 57 caliber Mark III 180s that you have 9 of. They reach out to 18.4 kilometers with this build. Reload time in just 9.7 seconds. 180-degree turn time is 25.9. HE shell maximum damage 2500 with a 16% chance to set fires. AP shell maximum damage is 4914. Secondaries, you have 100mm 70 caliber SM5s that you have 16 of that reach out to 5.2 kilometers and reload in 4 seconds. They fire HE with a maximum damage of 1400 damage and 9% chance to set fires. Torpedoes, you have 10 torpedoes, 5 on either side, and they reach out to 8 kilometers and are very, very slow, 55 knots. So, yeah, they are nice torpedoes, but at the same time, they're not nice torpedoes because even though they go 8 kilometers, they don't really do a whole lot because it takes forever for them to get there. So anybody with half a brain. Now, you do have good torp launch angles, so that opens up some pretty sneaky torp launches occasionally. So keep that in mind. I have scored some pretty nice torpedo hits on people because they don't expect you to have torps or the ability to torp them from your angle. AA defense, you have 25mm 4M120s. You have 16 of those doing 34 damage per second, reaching out to 3.1 kilometers. Then you have 45mm SM16s that you have 16 of, doing 90 damage per second, and they reach out to 3.5 kilometers. Then you have the 100mm 70 SM51s that you have 16 of that do 156 damage per second and reach out to 5 kilometers. Maneuverability is kind of the downside of this ship. It's not particularly fast. It's got a horrible turning radius. It's not quite as bad as the new legendary cruiser, but it's pretty bad. This is battleship-esque turning circle. Now, we did manage to get the rudder shift down to 6.3. If you go full rudder shift build, you can get that even lower. But honestly, with the fact that it still has an awful turning radius, getting the rudder shift lower doesn't seem to do me any good. I'd rather have other things that can help pump up the good points of the ship. Concealment. Detectability is 13.3, so also not particularly good, but then we're not taking the concealment mod. We're going with steering gears instead, so it makes sense. Detectability by air is 8.4 kilometers. Guaranteed detectability is 2 kilometers, and the detectability while firing in smoke is 7.8 kilometers. Armor. This is the worst part of this ship. This ship is a floating... This is reminiscent of the Pensacola, except at Tier 7. Okay? This thing has good AP and HE, and it seems like it should be a good ship, and then it just absolutely gets pummeled by everything. You'll see some of that in this match. But anyway, so you've got a pretty good belt at 40 millimeters on the belt, but again, very little of the belt is actually showing, meaning if something shoots at you, they're probably going to go through your 25 millimeter bow. Anything with 15-inch guns and above can go straight through that and actually citadel you as well. So keep that in mind. Yeah, any way that you think about, this ship has been citadeled while I've played it. And this explains it right here. Once again, another raised citadel. This is Wargaming. Apparently, Wargaming's getting tired of hearing us talk about ships that are, you know, kiting cruisers that are just impossible to citadel. So they give us the new Stalingrad and the Pyotr Bag here that have a raised citadel that make them literally citadelable from anywhere on the map, from anything that decides to shoot at them with AP. So keep that in mind. Overview. Sure shot. Shells with a good ballistic trajectory maintain velocity, making aiming easier. That is true. And unlike the new Stalingrad, this thing can actually lob islands, which we are going to showcase pretty well in this coming video right before everything goes horribly wrong. Long range, or long reach. Above average main battery range. Hit them before they can hit you. That's pretty standard for most of the Russian cruisers. And superior AP penetration. It has pretty good shell velocity, so you get really good AP penetration. But, again, the pin angles aren't the greatest on these, so with Von Essen there to help, it makes the AP a little nicer. Okay, Pyotr Bag, a design for a 15,000-ton cruiser carrying 180mm guns that was developed for the Soviet Navy at the end of World War II under a new shipbuilding program. The project was notable for its AA defenses, which were reinforced based on the experience gained during prior combat. She was designed in 1945, but never built. Again. So, yeah, let's take a look at it. It's pretty modern looking, but the one thing that sticks out more than anything to me when looking at this ship is just how much of it sticks out of the water. It literally sticks out. So, keep that in mind. It's a very big ship. It doesn't turn very well, and even when you go full rudder shift, I know there's always somebody that goes, "Oh, Spartan," but if you go with a double rudder shift, you can get the rudder shift down to 3.5 seconds or whatever it ends up being, 4 seconds. But it still does not turn. Like, it starts to turn pretty well. But just like the Stalingrad, it'll start to turn, you feel like you're turning, and then it's just like it's sitting there waiting broadside to anybody that decides to shoot AP. I've been dev-struck more in the past 2 days playing these two ships than I ever care to freaking mention. Like, I am not gonna lie, I do not like this ship at all. It's not my cup of tea. I would rather be in an American cruiser any day of the week. And I'll showcase why in the video. So with that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we're going to be on North, and we are going to try our best to showcase this ship. Now, you guys probably already have a pretty good idea of what I think of the ship. And it's not that it's a bad ship. It's just that the armor only works until you get dev-struck. And if you've never played this ship, or I'm trying to think of other ships that do the same thing. Maybe the British heavy cruisers are probably the closest thing. And you guys know I'm not a big fan of them either, for the same reason. Alright? I like armor that decides to work the way it's supposed to. Okay? And for whatever reason, on this one and the new one, Stalingrad, the armor works against things that you wouldn't think it would work against. Like, a Vladivostok at close range will shatter and bounce off of the belt of this thing. And then in the very next salvo, you get absolutely deleted from the exact same angle. It makes no sense. Like, I understand how armor works, generally speaking. You know, I'm pretty solid in a 1v1 against most people. I don't have any issues in pretty much any ship. But these ships are so freaking finicky. I just don't get it. I don't understand them. I don't understand how the armor works on these things. Because one moment, it's perfectly fine, you're angled beautifully, and the next moment, you're going back to port. And it's really frustrating. And I have I don't even want to think about how long I've played this stupid ship today. I'm not gonna lie. This is the worst freaking meet-the I have had to do in a long freaking time. And that includes yesterday with the Stalingrad, where I spent a couple hours playing that thing before I found a build that I finally enjoyed. Okay? But this thing has been an absolute pain in my backside all day long. it's like I start to have a good game. And this is going to showcase the same sort of thing. Like, I am going to be bow in, doing my darndest to try and save this side of the freaking board. But my teammates are going to be the most useless freaking backup on this side. Like, the other side, perfectly fine. They're going to be able to push through their side and wrap around behind these guys, which is the only reason that this ends up being a decent game for me. But I hold this as long as I can, coming over here to initially start burning down the Yamato because, I mean, it's a Yamato, he's not moving, he's inside range, and it's just easy, so might as well do it, right? So that's the goal here. We're going to start working on this guy and trying to burn him down. First salvo, immediate fire. He damage cons a single fire the very first time he gets a fire against him. That's a huge no-no, especially when things are still shooting you. Now, I also have a Suja in the back. Now, the Suja is able to shoot the Yami right now, okay? But keep this in mind. Now, the Suja gets a fire, I get a fire. This man's burning at least twice. And before all things are said and done, we're going to have him on a third fire here. As I noticed that I hit him at the back, he hit him at the front. If I can get the superstructure, then we can get this guy off the board pretty quick. Because 3 fires, 3 perma fires, because you decide to burn your damage con the first time somebody sets you on fire, is not fun. Now, we get radared here, but it's not that big a deal. The Yami, I don't think, would be able to lob the island in front of me. I could be wrong, and he could have dev struck me. I don't know. But I don't think he would be able to, and he chooses not to. He chooses to shoot at the battleship that's over there on the left. Now, we've got this destroyer in front of us. He's smoking up right in front of me for some reason. He was radared with me. But there's nothing there to shoot him until the destroyer gets spotted, which I believe is a gearing in this one. But you can see, after his triple fire goes out, I immediately set another fire. So this guy's in a world of hurt. Now, he started backing up, and then he starts charging forward to try to get close enough for Will to rebuild to keep him alive. Like, he is praying for Will to rebuild right now. He's like, this is freaking ridiculous. Being on the receiving end of a Suja and a Russian cruiser fire... like, the only thing that'd be worse is if this Russian cruiser was actually a Cleveland. Like, you've got a Suja and a potential Cleveland or something fire spamming you. We get another fire on him. That's another permanent fire after he uses his damage con. And so, if we can get a couple more here, if we can get another one, he's dead. But if we can get at least one more, and preferably 2 more, we'll finish him off pretty quick. Now, we've already got 50,000 damage, most of which came from fire on this Yamato. Now, obviously, we're starting to pay attention to the fact that we've got 2 cruisers pushing into the area. They haven't quite decided to push me yet, but they're there. We know that they're there. And the Champagne also is coming out into this area. Now, unfortunately for the Yamato, the Champagne doesn't get the message that, you know, the Yamato needs Will to rebuild. So the Champagne's just going to walk off and leave him. Now, gearing gets spotted. We go ahead and start using the shots on the gearing to try to knock him out as quickly as we can. I'm going to open up the angle a little bit here to get the rear gun involved on the gearing if we can. And we managed to knock out a steering gear after he is able to dodge the torpedoes. Now, you can see things are starting to get a little busy over here. I knock out his propulsion again. So, like, we're ripping them apart, but the Champagne is starting to push out a little too much for me. He's getting to a point where he's going to be able to lob the island. And that is his sole purpose. Look at where his guns are facing. He has one thing on his mind, and that is me. He doesn't care that there's a Richelieu. He doesn't care that there's a cruiser behind me. He cares about me. He wants to shoot me. And he succeeds. But he also gets set on fire, and that decides to put out his little game plan, and he starts to turn away, as does most people. But he also damage conned a single fire. So we're going to see if we can't put him on fire. And then we start getting the worst RNG on the planet for dispersion. Like, we're aiming center of the ship, above the ship, and they watch. They go off either side of the ship. Just one side or the other, rather than hitting the ship. Which is another reason I'm not a big fan of this thing. It's not as accurate as it should be. Or at least doesn't seem like it's as accurate as it should be. But Hipper comes out full broadside. I am salivating at this. And then just as I fire the AP, he decides to turn out, which is probably a good thing for him. Because this thing will absolutely wreck you if you're broadside, even in a Hipper. But, for me, I push up thinking I'm going to get into a good fight with a couple of Hippers that decide to go broadside. And unfortunately, I've put myself in a position where they are just going to all focus me. And when I say all focus me, I mean the Champagne, both of these Hippers, and the Gearing. And the Gearing is going to put himself in a position where he's able to shoot me right next. He's parked on this island in a smoke screen, and he's going to be able to lob this island and hit me. And I'm not going to lie, a little bit salty about it. But this is where I wish I was in an American cruiser right now. This Hipper, if I'm in a Cleveland, if I'm in a Balti, this Hipper's dead. 2 salvos, maybe 3 at max. Look at how much side he's given. But because I'm not, I'm in a Russian piece of crap. I hate this thing, I'm not gonna lie. I'm in this thing. Like, this guy is getting away with it. Now, we knock out his torp tubes using the HE because he's kind of angled, but he's not really angled. Again, if I'm in an American cruiser, this guy's dead. Even at this angle, I would Citadel the snot out of him. But we go back to the, we shoot another HE round trying to get his shot onto him. We get our turret knocked out, and you can see just the amount of fire that's coming at us. We've got the Gearing shooting us. We're trying to back around the corner to make less people be able to shoot us so we can focus this Hipper. But there's nothing I can do. Like, there's just too many people shooting us. The Yamato that we were burning down for the entire first half of the match manages to finish us off. Which just goes to prove how useless it is to be a fire starter. Like, it is absolutely worthless being a fire starter. I don't care what anybody says. We burned that Yami for how long? Took, what, 50, 60K off of him? The man survives, and he gets his revenge. That's what this is. And, of course, we lose our Suja's not long for this world. I don't know who hits him. Somebody ends up hitting him. But because of the positioning of the Suja, he wasn't able to help with that Hipper that was pushing. I was like the only one trying to get rid of the Hipper. And now that I'm dead, everybody just stops. Like, their destroyer's no longer doing anything, their cruisers disappeared, their Yami's off in the back. Like, it's just not a whole lot of fun for me. But it is what it is. The Spartan effect is a real thing. Everybody knows it. But I really wish I was an American cruiser on this one, because I would have absolutely dominated this side of the match with the HE and the AP. And down goes the Suja. Suja goes broadside on in front of Hipper. Hipper makes him pay for it. And that leaves this Richelieu, who's... I don't know what he's been doing this whole time. Those Hippers were pushing forward. I don't know who he was shooting. But he's definitely shooting at the Hipper now. And takes most of his health. But this guy's going to be under fire for a little while. Now, our guys have won this. Like, this is not one of those cases where I'm mad at the team, we're going to lose. Like, I'm mad at the guys that were behind me for not helping me hold these guys back. Like, these guys were so not worried about these guys' ability to do damage to them that they just rushed up to kill me. Like, I'm the only one doing any significant damage over here, so they just rush up and they finish me off. Like, that's what they should do. I couldn't run away because if I go broadside, I'm dead. Like, I can't turn away. The island's right there. I can't really turn into the island any further. So I was stuck. There was nothing I could do other than reverse and try to hopefully use the island to kind of break contact with 1 or 2 of them so that I could focus. But no, it just didn't end up working in our favor. Anyway, that being said, we have a little bit of a lull here at the end of the match. The destroyer comes out, goes behind the island. He captured the base. It's inconsequential. But he decides to just, like, run away rather than just finish off the Richelieu for some reason. The Richelieu doesn't have a whole lot of health. But now we're joining on the other side. You can see the Yami here is basically full health. The Kansas over there is basically full health. The Fletcher has taken a beating. So you can see kind of how the other side went. These guys were able to absolutely steamroll and come in behind these guys. And they captured Bravo on the way through, so we are guaranteed the win that way. But, yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. If you guys enjoy these Russian ships, let me know, but personally, the two new Russian ships with that raised citadel, just it's not fun. I went into the first. Here's how I found out that it had a raised citadel. I went into the first match, right? And the first match was actually the best match that I have until this one. And it was over 100,000 damage as well. And I probably should have just stopped. I should have used that match and been like, oh, here you go, guys. And you guys would have been like, oh, that's pretty cool. And no, don't. If you like Russian cruisers, you might like this. But I don't know, man. It's got nice torpedo angles. I like that about it. It can be tanky when it decides to be, and then it'll get you depth struck the next time. Like, I don't know. If I could just get a read on the armor of the things, I think it would be a better fit for me, but it's just not. Like, it's just too inconsistent. You can stay angled to a person, and in one shot, you're fine, and the next, you're dead. Like, it's just a weird armor or something. I don't know. Somebody will have to let me know what their experience is. I'm sure there are people that already have it, but 2,500 base XP, top of the leaderboard, Witherer medal, which you don't see me get very often because I am not a fire spammy kind of guy. But anyway, if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.